Welcome back. Throw-in is almost upon us, so let's head to our commentary team of Dave McIntyre and Paul Early. But before I do, let's hear from the managers. They've been speaking with Shane Dawson.
Peter, Championship is finally upon us. How have you managed the time between League and Championship in order for your team to be peaking this evening?
I suppose, Shane, look, it hasn't been that difficult really, because you've only 13 days between the league when we played Tyrone here a couple of weeks ago. So look, we just had a few workouts. We had a nice in-house game last Saturday. So and then you got Tuesday and Thursday this week, which has been fairly light.
Back in Killarney, familiar surroundings, and indeed there is expected to be a couple of green and gold jerseys in the stand, which is great to see fans back at sporting events. How advantageous is the home venue factor?
Well, I suppose the home advantage probably goes a little bit without the fans. You know, the fans starting to come back is going to be wonderful. I know we're restricted here to 200 today, but if we can stay alive in the Championship, we'll be looking to have plenty of supporters coming back.
A few similarities in the build-up today that there was in last year's Championship and the match leading up to Cork, in the fact that a lot of people are writing off this match as a foregone conclusion before a ball is even thrown in. With that in mind, how important is a big statement, a big performance on day one of a knockout championship?
Oh, I suppose knockout championship is only about one thing, Shane, and that's winning the game. You know, whether it's a point or 2 points, it doesn't really matter. It's about winning the game and staying alive to go into the next round.
Couple of championship debuts, Kerry Fitzgerald in goal and Mike Breen in defence, and indeed first championship start for Paddy. Is this a starting 15 largely picked on form from the league?
Well, I suppose if you go back to our Tyrone game a couple of weeks ago, you know, we had a decent enough performance that day, and guys put up their hands that day, and you know, we followed on with that.
Gentlemen, Peter, go well.
Thank you, Shane.
Championship begins. It's Kerry and Killarney, quite a tough opening fixture. What's the overriding emotion as we approach throw-in?
I suppose they're just delighted to be here anyway for a start. I mean, it's a beautiful, as you can see, a beautiful venue, and I suppose we're looking forward to this evening and then testing ourselves against one of the top teams in the country. Just
how big a test will it be?
I'd say it's going to be the ultimate test. I mean, they've been, apart from Dublin, they've been the most impressive team in the league, so that it's going to be a big test, but hopefully our boys are up for it.
If you're to believe the newspapers, the result of this match has already been decided before a ball has been thrown in. Is this a bit of a free hit from a Clare perspective?
Well, we're kind of used to that. We've been written off a lot, so that's nothing new for us. I suppose that you know, you just ignore these kind of things. I mean, if you don't have belief, you're wasting your time coming here. So it's just a matter of getting our own game together and playing as well as we can and see where that takes us.
You're coming off the back of a largely positive league campaign. How beneficial is that with such a short turnaround coming into Championship?
Well, I would hope that it's very good. We were very pleased with aspects of our performance against Mayo, and to play a team like Kerry, I suppose you couldn't have got a better match than Mayo. So I suppose we'll see now in a couple of hours' time how that works out.
Certainly. Finally, just a word on Darren O'Neill. Remarkable return after 10 years without Championship action. What will he bring to this Clare team? What will you want to see from him this evening?
Yeah, Darren was always a very talented player. You know, he had for a big guy, he had everything. He's a beautiful kicker. He's actually a very good free taker as well. And I think that the year he spent out with injury really stood to him, and he's worked really hard since he's come back, and he's having a phenomenal year for us. And long may it continue. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, Colin, very best of luck.
Thanks, lads.
Yes, good evening, everyone. What a beautiful evening it is in Killarney, and amongst the crowd, a 6-time All-Ireland medalist in Darragh O'Shea for Kerry. We've already seen Mayo advance to the next round of this year's Football Championship tonight. It's Kerry taking on Clare for the 7th time in the last 8 years, but there is no safety net tonight. For the beaten team, their 2021 Championship campaign will have started and finished on opening night. Let's take a look at the two teams. Peter Keane has given Championship debuts to 2 of his starting 15. Shane Ryan is only recently back to full fitness, so former county minor hurling captain Kieran Fitzgibbon gets his chance in goal. Jason Foley's at fullback. Brino Buglia gets the nod over Tyke Morley in the corner. The second debutant is Beaufort's Mike Breen at wing back. David Moran and Dermot O'Connor are in midfield, and in attack Stephen O'Brien is back on the wing. Paulie Clifford makes his first Championship start, and with Paul Murphy on the bench, the side captained again by last year's skipper David Clifford, the 22-year-old, at his dazzling best in the league as he racked up 622. Well, Clare manager Colm Collins has made 3 late changes to the 15 that performed so well against Mayo in their Alliance League Division 2 playoff. There's a championship debut for former Kerry minor Conor Jordan, who comes in for Owen Collins in the full back line. Conal O'Hanafane replaces Daniel Walsh in the wing. A first championship start, as we've been hearing, for Darren O'Neill in 10 years in midfield, although he may be employed a bit closer to goal. The side captained by centre forward Owen Cleary, and David Tuberty faces Kerry for the 8th time in his career, 14 years after making his debut. Well, we're almost ready to go. Peter Keane in his 3rd year in charge, looking to put the memories of 2020 and that wind and rain swept night in Páirc Uí Chaoimh behind him, as that late show from the rebel county saw Kerry exit in quite stunning fashion. Clare certainly would have been one of those sides that most teams would have been looking to avoid, were there a qualifier draw and a backdoor system, but sadly for the losers tonight, they will have had one bite of the cherry only. A 3rd late change for Clare has seen the manager's son Podge Collins join his brother Sean in the starting 15 as well. So there is plenty of experience, Paul Early, in this Clare team, but what a daunting task they have facing them tonight.
Well, absolutely, Dave. Clare have had a fantastic league campaign, beating Kildare away being the highlight, so looking forward to it.
But they're all already making their presence felt. Perfect conditions and a huge field at which Kerry have been unbeaten in championship football for 26 years now. There's a Mayo man in the middle. Castlebar Mitchell clubman Jerome Henry is officiating tonight. He's been in charge of Clare games many times in the past, but it's his first trip to Fitzgerald Stadium as a referee. Kerry will be playing with the breeze in this first half. Kieran Donny was telling us it generally goes in from right to left as you're looking out on the field here at Fitzgerald Stadium, but it's heading in the opposite direction in this opening period at least. Kerry playing their first provincial quarter-final since 2013, after their long winning run in Munster was ended by Cork last season. Away we go. The side that many believe to be closest to Dublin and the threat to their dominance in recent years, taking on Clare, who have not beaten Kerry since 1992, and it's taken Kerry just 12 seconds to open the scoring. It's a lovely strike, and already Kerry, looking to be regaining their Munster title, are up and running to their centre forward Sean O'Shea.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Jim O'Connor play at midfield championship, and he won that ball towering over a big jump, knocked it down to Sean O'Shea, and Sean O'Shea with the confidence to go on the right side, and we know how accurate he is. But good start from O'Connor.
Here come Kerry again. Mike Breen, his first touch in senior championship football, being chased down by Cathal O'Connor, who left his mark on him, but it's been regained by Kerry and Paddy Clifford, the older brother of the captain David. Came off the bench against Cork last year, but this time he's in from the start after impressing so well for East Kerry in the Kerry County Championship over the last couple of seasons, as they recorded back-to-back title wins. Here's Tom O'Sullivan. Gets it back from Gavin Crowley. Crowley was just a bit crowded out there. Finds Breen Buglik, who's kept Tadhg Morley out of the starting 15 tonight. Here's Breen again. Clare yet to venture into the Kerry half of the field. David Moore. Getting forward is Jason Foley from full-back. Took the ball in from Moore and was blocked off by Darragh Bohannon from Shannon Gales, one of 4 players over 6'3" in this Clare starting 15. They have a huge number of big men, one of which is Cathal O'Connor. on the ball now. Now the senior midfield partner in this Clare team after the retirement of Gary Brennan. It's a careless pass from him though, and his opposite number is Diarmuid O'Connor. He was given off to Clifford, and now Stephen O'Brien. Early ball inside. Seanie O'Shea again. Onto his left foot, trying to bend it. That's a lovely strike, and how well has he started this game?
Yeah, well, it was a careless pass around the middle of the field. Clare cannot afford to do that. They work the ball out of defence well, but then it's just a loose pass to a player who was marked tightly, and Kerry then punishes them. But Seanie O'Shea, lovely left foot. Looked to me, it just went maybe over the post, but the umpire was in the best position.
It was against Clare that he made his championship debut 3 years ago. Seanie O'Shea. Here's Cathal O'Connor. Takes a bit more care of the ball this time. Wing back for Clare today, Cian O'Dea from Kilfenora. His brother Jack has also spent time on the Clare panel. This is Kieran Russell. There's very little options for Pierce Lillis. Back they come, and inside for O'Dea again. Sean Collins. O'Dea again. Clare could do with a settling score, but they need to punch a hole in this Kerry defence. Picked up by Conor Jordan, the Kerry native. He plays his club football in Tralee with Austin Stacks. Making his championship debut for Clare tonight. A little burst of acceleration through the first tackle from Podge Collins. And a chance for Clare here through Kieran Russell. And the ball across is intercepted by Kieran Fitzgibbon in the Kerry goal.
It was just poor execution in the end. A really good move, a slow build-up, but that allowed Darren O'Neill to drop in into the full forward line, and the aim was, I think, to work the ball down the right-hand side and then pop a high ball across. He has aerial advantage over Diarmuid O'Connor. I think he's 6'7". We worked it out, I think, before the game, Dave. So he has a few inches on Diarmuid O'Connor, so that was a missed opportunity there.
This was the free that was won by Sean O'Shea. This was the Clare opportunity again, Paul. Just a poor strike in the end.
Yeah, just needed to get a bit more elevation on it, and if he popped it up in the air, there was a chance. We saw Darren O'Neill against Mayo winning the ball over Aidan O'Shea, that crossfield ball from David Tubridy. So he can be very effective in there in the full forward line.
He's got 2 from play already, Sean O'Shea. That's right over the black spot. He has come to play, and he has wasted absolutely no time in hurting Clare. Kerry lead by 3, and the ball come from him.
Yeah, and already when Kerry are attacking, they're stretching the Clare defence. They have a couple of wing forwards who are pulling out very wide, close to the sideline.
Well, they've never won here in the championship, Clare. This is the 7th time they've met at Fitzgerald Stadium. Kerry have won all previous 6. The best Clare have ever managed away to Kerry in the championship was a draw in 1950. That was in Listowel. Clifford just takes an extra couple of touches. Tries to feed one inside to Sean O'Shea, who has started as the furthest advance in this Kerry forward line. Lovely skill and close control from him again. Picked up again by the man wearing 11, playing as a 14 at the moment. Here's Diarmuid O'Connor. Helped on by Gavin White. It looked like it was thrown back towards Gavin White. Referee happy to allow play continue. Mike Breen now. Stephen O'Brien was in space on the right-hand side, but Breen of Puglia couldn't quite get the ball released, and Clare have survived this Kerry attack at least. Good defence there. Peter Canavan showed before the game a couple of clips on the Clare kick-out. You know, when they can't go short, if the goalkeeper puts up the hand to go right, it puts up the right hand, it'll go out long left. And on that last kick-out, it went out long left, but it was caught by David Moran on his own. So Kerry obviously looked at the games very, very closely, as you'd expect they would, the last couple of games, and Clare will just have to be very careful. I know it's one of the things that Colm Collins has mentioned over the last number of weeks. He's been very happy with their effectiveness on their kick-out, on their tackle count, on their efficiency in front of goal. They'll have to get all of those 3 spot on today if they're going to be in it with a shout. Confirmation a moment ago of that yellow card shown to David Clifford, but the ball has been given away very carelessly again by Clare. They really have been the authors of their own demise in this opening few minutes. Here's O'Shea again. So he cannot miss at the moment. 4 from 4 for him. And every time Clare give him an opportunity, he punishes them.
Oh, what a score, a fantastic score. His movement, first of all, is very impressive, but also his skills on the ball and his ability to find that little bit of space that gives him the time then to shoot under less pressure.
They've kicked that straight down the throat of David Moran. He wastes no time in finding a bit of space for Stephen O'Brien. David Clifford, he was pushed as he tried to toe that ball up to himself. A little nudge in the back coming from Podge Collins.
Yeah, they just have to sort their kick out now. That's 3 kick-outs, I think, in the last 4 that they have lost. And it puts them under massive pressure when Kerry can win the ball cleanly around the middle of the field. They're immediately playing front foot football. Clare haven't got their defensive structure in place, and in the last, they've got 2 scores out of the 3 wins in the middle of the field.
Sent flying over David Clifford. It certainly looked a soft free that he won there. It was an uncharacteristically poor attempt at a solo from David Clifford, but he's up and running in this year's championship, back captaining Kerry as he did last year, but just for that one fateful night in Cork. And Paul Murphy, who is the senior county captain this time in 2021, is on the bench tonight. Kieran Russell, Clare still seeking the first score. And whatever about the opportunities that Kerry have been given by Clare, Paul, they've had 5 chances, they've taken all 5. You can't certainly question their economy.
No, but look, they're in brilliant form at the moment. You know, they're the highest scorers, obviously, in the National League. Their efficiency in front of goal, their effectiveness has been outstanding. You know, their forward line at the moment is in outstanding form, and, you know, they've brought that league form straight into the first 8 minutes of this game. The movement up front is really impressive, and they're scoring at will.
Mike Brain back for Paudie Clifford, who's playing very deep at the moment. That's Gavin Crowley. A lot of onus on the shoulders of Gavin Crowley this season. Kerry have lost Shane Enright and Jonathan Lyne to retirement over the last few months. Here is the Clare goalkeeper, Stephen Ryan.
Yeah, and interesting enough, Dave, when they win the ball out around the middle of the field, they're always keeping one player inside the 13-metre line, one Kerry forward, so that it's just dragging a couple of defenders back. It's leaving that little pocket of space between the 13-metre line, maybe and the 45, and they're allowing the players just to kick those lovely passes, bounce passes in front of the forwards that Kerry are so effective at.
The ball was fouled by Killian Brennan as he brought that ball out of the Clare defence. Just can't quite get anything right at the moment. Here's Clifford. Got a call over his shoulder from Diarmuid O'Connor. That languid running style of his. He's made inroads. Popped it off to Tom O'Sullivan. And Kerry have kicked their first wide of the evening.
Yeah, one of the challenges Clare are going to have, as I mentioned at the start, they beat Kildare away. That was the highlight of their league campaign. Only conceded 13 points to Kildare. Had a fantastic second half performance, but the Kildare pitch is very narrow, Dave. And Clare defensively were able to maybe condense the space because of that and limit Kildare's goal opportunities. This pitch is a lot wider, so it's harder to close down that space inside and harder to stay connected as a defence. And you can see Kerry are able to find those little pockets of space when they run through or when they pop the ball in, which on a tighter pitch, maybe a little bit like a Newbridge pitch, they mightn't be able to find as easily.
It's Conor Jordan that has just taken a knock. His dad George also played for the Banner County. Conor Jordan, he won a Munster minor medal with Kerry 8 years ago, making his championship debut at senior level for Clare tonight. Clare finally managed to win a kick out, although not cleanly. They find a little bit of space for the forward line, and David Tubridy, who's been a spectator in this game to this point. Here's the captain, Owen Cleary. Finally, Tubridy's on the ball. Now 34 years of age, the record scorer in the history of the National Football League. What a legacy that is to leave behind if or when he does finally step away. O'Connor took a little bit of a blow to the back there, and he's really feeling it. He's in a lot of trouble. And Sean Collins, and the referee is going to want to get some treatment for O'Connor as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think when he won the ball, as he turned, he was hit very hard by Gavin White. fairly, it looked to me. But a bit of a hip injury, and that can be really sore here, as he just, maybe just when he received the ball, he turned very quickly. You can see it there, hip-to-hip contact. Actually, it wasn't Gavin White, it was Jason Foley, in fact.
When you watched Gary Brennan, one midfield stalwart, sail off into the retirement sunset after last year's championship. He could not afford to lose Cathal O'Connor now, Colin Collins. Thankfully he's back up and running, still nursing that right hip though. A free in won by Dave Tubridy. He's dropped a bit deeper and a bit to try and get himself involved in this game. Looks short towards Cratlow's Sean Collins. At one point was hurling and playing football for the Clare seniors. Tubridy trying to get around his marker, Tom O'Sullivan. There's a decade between them in age. A teasing ball in, and what a chance that was. It's been put wide off the fist of Gavin Cooney, who will feel he should have hit the back of the net and dragged Clare back into this first half.
Oh yeah, it was a super ball inside, and there were two players inside again. Darren O'Neill was in there lurking at the back post, but maybe could have caught it. Gavin Cooney on that occasion maybe could have caught it and just a quick kick into the goal, but it was a great chance and would have been one that would have got Clare back into the game if they had executed well.
That's Kerry's second wide. Let's have another look at this goal opportunity. It was well crafted by David Tubridy, a very clever ball in. Gavin Cooney, who scored 1-1 in that league playoff against Mayo, perhaps didn't quite know where the posts were.
Yeah, and to be fair, Jason Foley got back very, very quickly. He put him under pressure, and I think maybe his contact just as the ball was about to hit Gavin Cooney might have just put him off a little bit and forced the ball to go wide.
It might have been the jolt that would kickstart Clare's challenge. They're on the offensive here again. The centre half forward, it's Owen Cleary. And he has pulled that off his right boot. That video of him kicking a sideline over the crossbar went viral during the Alliance Football League. He's an incredibly talented attacker, but he couldn't find the target there.
Yeah, and good Kerry defence again, putting Owen Cleary onto his right foot. He is brilliant off his left foot. He has kicked some magnificent scores throughout the league campaign from way out the field on his left foot. But obviously this Kerry team has got a lot of criticism. The defence has got a lot of criticism. I have to say, in the first, last 5 or 6 minutes when Clare have had some ball, the marking has been very tight in defence. They're working together as a unit. There's very little space that the Clare forwards can get. So good defensive display so far.
Cathal O'Connor, sadly for Clare, has been unable to shake off that knock. So he is making way, and coming is Emmett McMahon, who made his debut against Tip last year. He was part of the Clare minor side, beaten in the Munster final 3 years ago. He comes in to see what sort of an impact he can make, and he's onto the ball immediately. Here's Podge Collins. A little bit of traction in the game for Clare in the last 5 minutes or so. Certainly seeing a lot more of the ball. But they haven't managed to get the scoreboard ticking in their favour as yet. Helped on by Hannah Fane. He's on the ball again here. Gathered by Killian Brennan, who was fouled. And now it's Sean Collins. That was a bit of a belt from Stephen O'Brien. The referee just coming across for a quick word. Not sure if he's going to go to his pocket. He is in the end.
Yeah, I think it was a fist across the chest. We could hear the groan up here. So yellow, I think that's fair. Yeah.
I think it was Conal O'Hanafane, whose dad is a Kerry man, who wore the brunt of that.
Yeah, you can see the fist there straight in the solar plexus, so definite yellow.
Stephen O'Brien, who was actually left out of the starting 15 for that visit to Cork in last season's Munster semi-final. Conal O'Hanafane is back on his feet. Won a Sigerson Cup medal with UCC a couple of years ago. Ball played and given back to David Tubridy. Here's Conor Jordan, early ball sent in. Clare playing with a little more belief here. Podge Collins. An ambitious effort from way out the field as that curled in off the left enough. The two umpires not quite sure. They had a little bit of a conversation. And Emmett McMahon has come off the bench to kick Clare's opening score.
Yeah, brilliant score. Left foot, got a bit of a deflection, but over the bar, super score. First touch. And Clare have held possession well in the last 3 or 4 minutes, got the ball through hands quite a bit, got more players involved in the game, and that's positive.
As they do go into the water break, Kerry have not scored in the last 8 minutes after a really blistering opening few in which Sean O'Shea was the star of the show, kicking Kerry's opening 4 scores. David Clifford with a free, put 5 between them, but signs that Clare are coming back into this first half. Let's get the lads in studio's thoughts on what we've seen so far.
Thanks very much, Dave. Unbelievable start by Kerry, I suppose. You know, the 4 points they kicked, particularly Sean O'Shea, was, you know, absolute quality written all over them off both feet, and really should have settled Kerry into the game. Then you would have expected them to push on a bit better. Haven't been overly impressed by the last 8 or 9 minutes, and they'll be looking to really improve, and I'd say that's what will be talked about down there now. They're working really hard as a unit defensively. They're doing very well on the crossovers when the Clare boys are crossing over. They're switching men defensively, so they're being very solid, and then making it hard for them down here. But Clare a bit nervous as well, Jim.
Yeah, a couple of unforced errors, you know, early in the game, but you know there was always going to be that pent-up anger from a Kerry point of view early in the game, and bringing a lot to the game, and Clare just have to ride out that storm, and if they can get, you know, 1 or 2 more scores on the board, hopefully can stay competitive into the half-time break.
And the press that Kerry have put on as well, and the Clare kick-out has him in trouble and has him really struggling to get kick-outs out. I think David Moran has caught a few in the middle of the field, but, you know, uncontested most of them, because the Clare keepers are resorting to lashing it long.
Kerry look clean and they look crisp, and they're putting a lot of tackles on. They're putting a lot of hard tackles on, so it's going to be interesting. Can they keep that level up?
Yes, thanks to Kieran and to Jim. Well, Kerry were pretty much error-free for the opening 7 or 8 minutes. And perhaps signs Clare, and I've got a lot of encouragement from the last few minutes. Another change made by Clare. Cillian Ruane has come in from Ennis-Diamond, replacing Conal O'Hanafane. So both players who picked up a knock before that water break have unfortunately had to leave the field for Clare. 2 of their substitutions already enforced upon them. Here is Podge Collins, who's wearing 17 but did start the game. Here is Tubridy. He'll certainly bring a bit of pace and agility, Cillian Ruane, into this Clare 15. If they can get him on the ball. Cross it goes to Cian O'Dea. He's playing his 20th championship match tonight, and despite his experience, it's a really bad giveaway. Picked up by Paudie Clifford, chasing him down as Ruane. On the shoulder of Clifford was Gainey, and to his left foot, Paul Gainey puts that one over the bar. Another Kerry score, Paul, directly off a Clare error.
Yeah, and great teams punish you know, errors out the field like that. Clare did exceptionally well to win the Kerry kick-out. They contested with David Moore in the middle of the field, won the kick-out, you know, popped a pass across. David Tubridy kicked a lovely pass across to Cian O'Dea, but Cian O'Dea came back towards David Tubridy, where the traffic was, and then tried to pass the ball above a Kerry player. Good interception, and resulted in a score. Got to be clever with the ball when they have it.
Here's Lillis, chased down by Gavin White. And there was a nothing ball really that was played in, and they almost made something of it, but their quality of their passing really has let them down so far in this game. Here's Clifford, looking to direct these Kerry attacks from well out the field. Back inside it goes to Darragh Moynihan. He plays his club football just outside Killarney here with Spa. And picked up by Gavin Crowley. Diarmuid O'Connor for Breen. And the first instance of the mark that we've seen in this first half. David Clifford taking that ball just inside the 45. So much chatter in around the rule changes that have been made by the GAA heading into this year's championship. It's a long way out, but if anyone on the field that send this one over, it's David Clifford. May drop short into the hands of the Clare goalkeeper Stephen Ryan, the successor to Joe Hayes between the sticks for the Clare senior footballers. Picked up here by Conor Jordan, and now Kieran Russell. They're committing numbers to this attack. Russell wants to maintain his presence in this attack. Took the shoulder from Gavin White, and he certainly felt it. Collected by Cleary. Kerry has certainly kept him quiet so far. Out it goes to Conor Jordan. Little ball over the top. And he needed a little more elevation on it if he was to pick out Darren O'Neill. They haven't tried that ball as yet, Paul, leaving Darren O'Neill in and around the square.
Well, there's a couple of balls that they have kicked in. Obviously, in the first couple of minutes, they dropped one short. They need to just hang it in the air. You know, Kieran Donaghy will remember those ones. He talks about the ones that just hang in the air, give the forward the chance to set himself and set his position, get his body shape, got body into the right position. And Clare, just the way they're kicking the ball, is just dropping a little bit short. And we can see what happened there from the transition then right up the field to David Clifford, who kicks it over with his right foot.
And that's the biggest issue with trying to defend against David Clifford. He's so able off both feet. You've no idea what way to turn him. He picked it up on his left, turned his body to his right, over it goes. It's his first from play. This down on top of Darren O'Neill, and it's a clean bit of primary possession for him and Clare. Here is Tubridy. Bit of space down the right-hand side of this Clare attack. Picked up by Owen Cleary onto his left foot. And Cleary finds the spot he was looking for, and he gets his first of this first half.
Well, that's the first bit of link-up play between David Clifford and Owen Cleary, and they've worked very well with each other during the league campaign. But a great catch in the middle of the field. A contest, long kick out, a good contest, great catch by Darren O'Neill. But David Tubridy is winning a lot of ball outside the 45-metre line on kind of the left-hand side. And with the quality of his kicking, he will bring other Clare forwards into the game. And that's a good tactic by Colin Collins, to just bring him out and get him on the ball as much as possible out closer to midfield.
Clearly the beneficiary of that strategy there, captaining Clare for the second season, a successor to Gary Brennan in that regard. Big shoes to fill in every sense. What a player Brennan was for so long for Clare.
A couple of years ago, Dave, Clare used to play a sweeper. They dispensed with that last year and this year in the league campaign, but on a slow build-up like Kerry are doing at the moment, they are dropping an extra player back.
Clifford misfiring off his left side on this occasion. That's Kerry's third wide. And the lead remains at 5. But it was a rip-roaring start from Kerry, Paul, and Clare have just managed to keep a hold on them. They haven't been blown away as yet. That's an awful kick out, though, from Stephen Ryan, and it's a part of the game that has killed Clare in this first half. Clifford trying to put one over. This time around, he does exactly what he was seeking to do.
They're doing a lot of really good stuff, Clare, but then, you know, they give it away by poor kickouts like that. You know, if you go short, you've got to find your man, and you certainly don't want to find David Clifford in the form that he's in. And that's just a disappointing thing. I think that Colin Collins will be, you know, unhappy about. Just the kickouts are killing them at times.
There are several scores in this tally of 8 for Kerry that the hosts haven't really had to work too hard for. Here comes Owen Cleary once more. A pacey player, but he was up against Paul Gainey there. He's not short of a yard himself. Coach Collins calls for it and gets it. Such a direct runner at the ball, but he's taken that into Kerry traffic and he's over-carried it.
Yeah, and again, just another example of great Kerry defence. Yeah, they're on their toes, they're tenacious, very pacey, working hard to strip the ball off the player. Here you can see it again, really good play. Once Podge Collins turned, there was another Kerry player there to take the ball off him.
Clear it back though, Tubridy into Lillis. Cleary, Tubridy again. Breaks a couple of tackles onto his left foot, David Tubridy. And I think he was rather fatigued by the time he actually got to pull the trigger, having had to carry it so far. Clare's third wide.
Yeah, but another positive again, it was Owen Cleary that gave him the pass, so the two of them are beginning to work well together. They account for, I think, 60%. The two of them accounted for, I think, about 60% of the Clare scores during the league campaign, so they're crucial players in that forward line.
Stephen O'Brien. Inside it goes to Paudie Clifford. He looks for Sean O'Shea. A nightmare to Mark Kennedy, trying to close him down. And for once, Sean O'Shea has missed the target. And he's still so young, Sean O'Shea. Just 22 years of age, the man from Kenmare, but he plays like a man with years of experience under his belt. And a yellow card for David Moran. Violation of that caution. Didn't quite see what it was for. Again, Clare go short. Back it goes to Stephen Ryan, rather. He takes it upon himself to bring it through. Pops it off to Sean Collins. Now this is Cian O'Dea. Kieran Russell ahead of him. It's a slow, ponderous build-up from Clare. Collins again. And now with Conor Jordan. He's playing some very good football this year after overcoming a cruciate knee ligament injury.
The difference when Kerry have the ball and they're playing a slow game is that they're always passing to a player who's moving on to the ball. Clare occasionally in the build-ups are passing to players who are static. And when they win it then, Kerry are able to close them down very, very quickly and put them under pressure. This is better now, this movement.
And they have left 3 men inside Clare. It's just a question of finding the channel through which they can work the ball into them. And Kerry are closing that channel down at the moment. This was the foul on Collins from first Gainey. And then Darragh Moynihan. That's a clever ball for Cleary, though. Trying to get back to him is Gavin Crowley. Cleary just took a little step, looked at the posts, and curled that one over. His second Clare third of the evening.
A sensational score. He had to get the ball up very quickly, had to get the elevation up very quickly. There were 2 Kerry defenders about to close him down there. Great score by Owen Cleary. Fantastic. Great boost for confidence for the Clare team.
And after 9 minutes, Kerry led by 5. 16 or 17 minutes later, that lead is still 5. Here's Tubridy. Spotted the run immediately of Cleary, and the 2 players now starting to operate in tandem a bit more. The angle is tight here, not tight enough to stop Cleary putting it over the bar, though. For the first time in this opening half, Clare kicked 2 in a row.
Well, with the terrible twins in Galway years ago, it was Donaghy and Gooch as well. But we have Tubridy and Cleary here. They're working really, really well together. And super score, another super score.
And he has scored his 99th, 100th and 101st points in Championship football for Clare this evening. And it's double scores here at Fitzgerald Stadium. And at the moment, Kerry not quite having it all their own way. The sun has dipped in behind the clouds here in Killarney. And you can feel the temperatures dropped a couple of degrees, which maybe won't harm Clare. It's a lovely bit of play, though, from Paudie Clifford. It just drifted across the face of goal. And that's a 5th wide of this opening half for Kerry. Well picked up by Kieran Russell, who was under considerable amount of pressure there. Killian Rowan now looking to stretch his legs. An illustration of that blistering pace that he does possess, but he got rid of it a bit too quickly. There's a bit of bite in this game now, really for the first time. David Clifford out in front of Killian Brennan. Gainey, now 30 years of age, 8 years on from his debut against Cavan in that All-Ireland quarter-final at Croke Park. Now Russell, he left it. Breen O'Douglas coming in and bringing Mike Breen into the game. Moran. Douglas again, it's opened up for the cornerback. Looking for a shooter, and he found one in the guise of Paudie Clifford. And Paudie Clifford gets his first score of the game and his first point in senior championship football.
Yeah, very good left-footed point. He just feinted to go one way and then cut back. But what Clare are doing really well is they're not giving Kerry any goal opportunities. They're protecting the goal at all costs. The last time they were here in Killarney, Kerry had scored 2 goals, I think, in 4 or 5 minutes, and the game was gone. They haven't created a goal opportunity, and a lot of that was due to the structure of the Clare defence.
The breaking ball was tipped on by Gainey, intelligently so, into the path of Gavin White. Clifford battling with Kieran Russell, and that will be a 45. Breeze, albeit it does look like it's dropped a little, is still with Kerry in this first half, so this should be kickable for a player of the calibre of Sean O'Shea when it comes to place kicking, although he's right over by the sideline. This is as tough as it gets.
Well, it's on the 45-metre line, but I'd say you're probably talking about 60 metres from where he is. But we know how accurate he is, and the strength in that leg, that right leg.
Kicked 153 in Kerry's run to the All-Ireland final in 2019, taking Dublin to a replay. This would be an outrageous score if he had the distance, but even beyond his considerable range. We've just gone off the boil a little as we break through the half-hour mark. Kerry not having Clare succumb to them as they did, and certainly in the opening 10 minutes or so. A little bit for Peter Keane to ponder as they go down the middle, Clare. And well taken by Owen Cleary, who really has come into this game. Here's Collins. His brother Podge an option ahead of him. Going with Podge Collins is Tom O'Sullivan. Here is Sean. Clare a little more intent on keeping the ball for the moment. Kieran Russell. And Killian Brennan across to Russell, who just made himself available for it. Pierce Lillis. They won't be making much progress, Clare, but while they have it, Kerry can't hurt them.
Yeah, and I think this is sensible play from Clare as well. They're just getting a little breather by holding the ball back around the middle of the field, just getting a little breather, allowing the forwards maybe, or the midfielders, just to take a little bit of a rest, and then when they go forward, then they might have a bit more pace in the forward line, a bit more movement.
McMahon. Back for Killian Ruane. Ends up back in the hands of their goalkeeper, Stephen Ryan. He's part of the Clare minor side, beaten by a David Clifford-inspired Kerry in the Munster final 4 years ago, the goalkeeper. They look to inject a bit more into this attack now. Lillis. Taken on by McMahon. He's found a little bit of space. Neat turn from Ruane, and he turned into a tackle. Referee rather hampering Clare's chances of picking that ball up through Darragh Bohannon. Here is Sean Collins. Clare still have the ball in the hands of Conor Jordan. For the first time this evening, Clare giving the ball straight to a Kerry man. It's led to a goal opportunity for Sean O'Shea. And again, every little error made by Clare, Kerry have been ruthless in exposing and have been carried the ball, Paul, for the guts of 2 or 3 minutes. That is a sucker punch for Clare.
It's an unforced hand pass, a lazy, loose hand pass, trying to go over the head of a player. You know, you just cannot do that against the quality of a team like Kerry. And Sean O'Shea just held back. There was always one Kerry forward. Anytime Clare were moving forward, there was always one Kerry forward hanging back just in case that eventuality happened. But, you know, it's a sickener for Clare. A really good finish by Sean O'Shea. Kept it low. Very difficult for the goalkeeper. But, you know, Clare architects of their own downfall, really, at times in this first half, and in particular with that sucker punch.
That's Killian Brennan getting a little bit of treatment. Brother of Gary Brennan, and indeed Shane Brennan, who also served the county with distinction. Well, they dragged themselves back into this first half, Clare, but they will be really disappointed by the several scores they'll feel they've gifted to their opponents tonight. Much to ponder for Colin Collins. They go long from Stephen Ryan. And really well taken. And a wing forward, Darragh Bohannon. Looked ahead, it didn't really see an option, so we'll have to work it short. The additional 3 minutes at the end of the 35.
Dave, they have Darragh Bohannon, who's 6'5". They have Darren O'Neill, who's 6'7" in the middle of the field. And anytime they've hung the ball up in the air to a contest, they've won it. So you know, maybe that's a tactic that they should persist with in the second half.
Here's Collins, Sean to Podge, onto his left foot. It's a lovely strike, and it's a neat response from Clare to the concession of that Sean O'Shea goal.
Really good score, important score as well. But Darren O'Neill, or it was Darragh Bohannon, caught that ball. Like he was up, he was 9 feet in the air when he caught it. Like they're huge assets to have around the middle of the field, and Clare need to use them a bit more.
It's really that reason that Kerry are rarely going long with their own kickouts. There is Gavin White. It's opened up for the Kerry wing half back. Here's Sean O'Shea. Back for Tom O'Sullivan. Clifford, Stephen O'Brien in a lot of space. Time to take it and steady himself. But he's put that across the post. And it's a 7th wide of the first half for Kerry, who couldn't miss in the opening exchanges. And a bit errant since.
Yeah, there's seven-point gap, 7-point differential at the moment. In reality, it probably should be around 4. That would, I think, reflect the way the game has gone. Clare coming back into it really strongly in the middle of the first half.
And they targeted Darren O'Neill there with that kick out, but it hasn't come off for them. And O'Connor eventually finds its way towards Paudie Clifford, who jinks into the space and pulls the trigger for his second.
The transition from midfield to attack was really quick on that occasion. And I was watching Kerry before the game, just spent a lot of time in the warm-up, just with very intricate forward play, forward movements, a drill that involved a lot of forwards moving the ball at pace. And that was a good example of it in real time. Super score.
The last time Kerry were beaten here was the Munster final in 1995. It's a poor team. Lost the All-Ireland semi-final to Jason Sherlock-inspired Dublin a few weeks later. Another kick out goes awry. They're being cleaned in the middle of the field, Clare. Here's Gainey. Good block down though from Cian O'Dea. Regathered by Dara Moynihan. Staying forward was Brina Bjuglik, who really has been given a licence to join the Kerry attack whenever he feels it's appropriate to do so. There's only one Clare player within 70 metres of the Kerry goal at the moment. And they're set up not to concede a second goal before this half-time whistle. Clifford. And an exchange with Tom O'Sullivan. Breen finds Clifford again. And the referee's whistle is gone. It looks like there was an incident drawn to his attention by his linesman on that far side of the field, David Tubridy, with a shake of his head, and he's gone into the book.
Yeah, maybe off the ball incident or some verbals.
Colin Collins is certainly wondering what that was for.
Yeah, we didn't see anything here, but on that last kick out, it went to a contest, and Clare have just got to get some of the basics right. When you're kicking too long to a contest like that, you've got to have a teammate, you know, in front of the ball. So if the ball breaks, and it's going to break down in front of Darren O'Neill if he's in the air, or Darragh Bohannon, they've got to have a Clare player there waiting for the break. The last time Kerry broke it down, no Clare player in front, and they won the ball easily.
Well, Kerry are in decent shape after a really good start and indeed finish to this first half. Clare have a lot of thinking to do in the half-time dressing room. Half-time here in Killarney. It's Kerry 1-11, Clare 5 points. Full of analysis next.
Welcome back to Fitzgerald Stadium in Killarney, and it's Kerry who lead here by a goal and 11 points to Clare 5 points. So plenty to talk about in that first half. Kieran, anything interesting from the stats there that stand out for you?
Yeah, no, just the one I probably spoke about earlier. Like, Kerry won't be happy with that 7 wides. They dropped one short. You know, if that's reduced down to 2 or 3, which they'd normally kind of have at half time, they'd be well out of sight by now. Clare come out and they'll be playing with the breeze, and they're going to have to go for it. Kerry are out early on the pitch. I don't see there's any changes. So you know, it's up to Clare to see what they can bring now. This next quarter, third quarter, they call it in the Aussie rules, the championship quarter, and if we're going to have any game, Clare have to come with a lot in the second half.
Yeah, and I see the management there, Clare management, coming out as well. Just defensively now, have Kerry done enough for you? And kind of when we were talking about defence before the game, impressed? Is it hard to read what we're seeing?
It is hard to read. Kerry have been very, very sharp, and they've been very aggressive in the tackle. There's no doubt about that, but they haven't been asked any questions, really. Grania, let's be honest. For me, Clare need to get the ball away quicker. Short kickouts are on, and they're not doing it. They need to get the ball away quicker in their own kickout. They need to get ahead of the ball then, and they need to push more forwards up the park.
Well, let's see if that happens. Let's head back then to our commentary team for the second half. Dave McIntyre and Paul Early.
Yes, thank you, Grania. So the fast start that Kerry got in the first half is something Clare would dearly love to have ahead of them in the next few minutes or so. Their manager, Colm Collins, has made another change. Having made a few before kick-off or before throw-in, and then 2 enforced through injury in that first half. One of the changes made before throw-in was Podge Collins in for Joe McGann, but that has been reversed. Joe McGann, wearing 14, has now come into the Clare attack. The man who got the goal that decided things in their league win at Newbridge against Kildare, their first ever win at that venue a few weeks ago. So away we go. They will have been really disappointed by the manner in which they conceded that goal in particular to Sean O'Shea, who finished that first half with 1-4. Here is Gavin White. So this will play Tipperary in the last 4, the reigning Munster champions, but who are now a Division 4 side after this year's Alliance National League. Paddy Clifford across to Breen, and now gaining into O'Shea, who's been playing a full 4 today. Very interesting role. No real defensive duties for him to perform. He's just been their chief score getter. And an early free one by Paddy Clifford, and he popped it off to his little brother David, who's likely to stick this one over the bar.
Yeah, that's the second throw-in that Dermot O'Connor has won. He caught it cleanly on this occasion and set up the attack, and there was a purpose in the movement and the passing from Kerry. Moved it right down the wing, and then a good little pass inside from Paul Glaney, resulting in this free.
So over it goes. And they kicked the first 5 points rather of the first half, Kerry. The opening score of this second period. 2020, such a write-off for Kerry senior footballers, beaten in their opening game. First time they failed to win an All-Star since 2012. They have many rights to get right in this year, and many wrongs to right from last year.
Just a point in relation to Stephen Ryan. I think he's done really well in the last 10 minutes of the first half, and early on just finding his players with the kick out. Couple went in the air, long ones went in the air that they lost, but the short ones he's found his teammates. So good play by Stephen Ryan.
Out of air on that one from David Clifford, and that is tailed away to the left and wide.
I think one thing Kerry will be looking to do this half is to create goal-scoring opportunities. They were magnificent in the league, kicking 13 goals in four games. They got the one in the first half. It was a brilliant pass from David Clifford over the top inside to Sean O'Shea, but they haven't been creative, and part of that is down to a good good Clare defence.
4-21 against goal, 6-15 against Tyrone. Extraordinary scores they were racking up in the league. As they ultimately shared that league title with Dublin. And it's the holy grail that man is seeking. Kerry's first All-Ireland since 2014. Only twice in their history have they gone longer without bringing Sam Maguire back to the kingdom. That was after the Irish Civil War, and then that long run between 87 and 97, 86 and 97. Here's Dermot O'Connor, Paddy Clifford. Quick ball inside to O'Shea, out in front, time to get turned. Wiggles into the space, looking to make the shot, but Clare got bodies around him, and it's a 9th wide for Kerry, whose accuracy is deserting them now.
Yeah, the accuracy was the only thing that was wrong about that move. That was just outstanding pass inside. Was it from Dara Moynihan? Not sure, but that bouncing ball right in front of Sean O'Shea. But again, it's a tactic that Kerry have employed. Anytime they win the ball, they play somebody very deep in close to the goal, and that bit of space right in front of the goal then is open for them to exploit with that pop pass.
It was a really good piece of fielding from Emmett McMahon in the middle of the field, and looking to get away from his marker was Gavin Cooney, who's been starved with the ball in this game. Here's McMahon again. A miscue from him, and Clare might make something of it. Darren O'Neill have gone in to field it. I think the referee's going to throw that ball up. Darren O'Neill certainly wondering why that was the case. And he's managed to win it again. And immediately the whistle goes for the free hit.
Well, we talked about the kick passes dropping a bit short in the first half. I don't think that's what we had in mind when we said there might be a little bit more elevation on them, but it hung in the air, and certainly his height paid off on that occasion. Darren O'Neill, even though he won it, I think in the first instance, I think David Moran kind of pulled it off him, but yeah, good catch, good score.
Fourth of the evening for Owen Cleary. Fitzgibbon got the call to his left from Tom O'Sullivan. He's overcooked a little. Ball in the hands of Conor Jordan. Gets it back again. The first touch since coming on at half-time for Joe McGann. He's a really good runner and carrier of the ball. Back for Bohannon. He was a little rushed in his effort there. Clare's fourth wide.
Clare will draw comfort from the fact that they had a really strong second half against Mayo only a couple of weeks ago. 2-10 in the second half, got back to within 2 points of Mayo, who had a very big lead in the first half. And there's the pressure again of the Clare forwards. That's really good.
An apology from Kieran Fitzgibbon. He really shouldn't have released that ball. He didn't travel far enough, and Clare might have a chance to put a bit more pressure on Kerry here.
And it also travelled inside the 20-metre line, so yeah, must travel outside the 20. That was the reason for the free.
Picked by Cleary. Out to Tubridy. Just takes a couple of steps backwards. Well, he's been scoring from that sort of range for well over a decade for Clare, and he'll be very disappointed with that.
Just snatched it a little bit, had a bit more time. Could have hooked it around. But
Fitzgibbon, unsurprisingly, opts to go long this time. And the referee was given that free to Clare in the end. Clare certainly felt they were the party.
He just made an error. I think he's having a very good game, the referee, I'd have to say.
Here's Tubridy. Trying to get away from Gavin White. Cleary. Lovely use of the shimmy to elude a couple of Kerry defenders. This is Darren O'Neill. Now Kieran Russell. Cooney. Making good ground, and it might fall for O'Neill here, looking to get the shot away towards goal. Back out to Cleary, drops it onto his left boot. It's a third wide in a row for Clare, who are creating opportunities.
Well, they took on the Kerry defence there and almost created a goal opportunity. I thought Owen Cleary did really well earlier on in the play there. Lovely silken skills. Managed to hold on to the ball and bring other players into it, but again, just snatched that a little bit.
Just about got away with that one. There was a shove in the back of Gavin White. Again, Colin Collins not happy with the decision the referee took there. Here's Mike Breen, and now Stephen O'Brien trying to get Kerry up the field. This is Paudie Clifford. Colin Collins not a happy man. David Moran. It's opened up for him. We know he can strike from this sort of distance. And where Clare failed to hit the target on 3 previous occasions at the other end, David Moran shows them how it's done.
Yeah, he just loves to get into those positions on the right-hand side and just to hook the ball over the bar. But again, Clare forwards putting the Kerry goalkeeper, Kieran Fitzgibbon, under a lot of pressure on the kickouts.
Daniel Walsh, who was part of the under-20 panel last year, has come off the Clare bench to make his championship debut. in an impressive league. Included a goal against Laois in Division 2. Darren O'Neill the target of this kick out. Clare have it through Tubridy. That ball was never really on. There's Breen and now O'Shea. Probably the deepest he's been at any stage in this match so far. It's Gainey and David Clifford who are the two inside forwards at the moment. Here's Darragh Moynihan. 10 minutes into this second half, the gap between the sides is 10. Okay, you've only added one to the lead since the restart. Here is Gavin White. Ball into Clifford. Clifford wants it back again. Just gets away from him. And Sean Collins is fouled. And the game just ambling along at the moment. Neither side really on top. Kerry very comfortable. Long fist ball into the path of Bohannon. He was pushed by Diarmuid O'Connor as he got to the ball.
Darragh Bohannon made a terrific run from the midfield. He just pointed where he wanted the pass. Great energy to get right in front of Diarmuid O'Connor on that occasion, and got his body in the right position, and knew when he gathered the ball that he was going to make or have contact. So good play.
Here's David Tubridy, who hasn't managed to get on the score sheet as yet today. 126 he's got in his previous 7 championship appearances against Kerry. And he's just clipped that one casually towards the post, and over it goes. Deficit back to where it was at the break. Fitzgibbon, they're really pressing high in the second half, and given the new Kerry goalkeeper plenty to think about. And they've won another kick out off Kerry ball. Here's Daniel Walsh, his first touch in senior championship football. Tubridy, that's going to drop short and into the hands of Kieran Fitzgibbon. It's just an injury to the Kerry centre-half forward Sean O'Shea at the moment. He's on the Kerry 65 now, getting some treatment. That's why the whistle has gone. There he is.
Yeah, he's a player that they certainly wouldn't want to lose.
Well, everyone talks about David Clifford being the indispensable member of this Kerry forward line, but Seanie O'Shea is not far behind him.
Absolutely not, and you know, he has a full array of skills. He can go right, he can go left. His body movement and his ability to find space for himself. He's very unselfish. He can take frees. He's got it all.
His dad Sean played alongside Peter Keane, the Kerry manager, at minor level. So that reached the 1989 All-Ireland semi-final, and of course a star at minor level himself. Sean O'Shea collected a couple of All-Ireland medals in 15 and 16. Kerry about to make their first change, and it is a stacked bench. It includes the 2 Spillane brothers, but that's Killian. He's going to be in shortly. They also have the likes of Morley, Paul Murphy, Tommy Walsh, Jack Barry, Jack Sherwood, Micheál Burns, all on that Kerry bench. It's a squad, Paul, that has really had its depth added to over the last couple of seasons.
Certainly has, and you know, Tyke Morley came on against Roscommon in the league. You know, got sent off straight away and missed the following game because of the suspension. Paul Murphy didn't start the last day against Tyrone, and you know, on both occasions Kerry played really well. They finished the game very strongly against Roscommon. They played exceptionally well against Tyrone, and you know, that's, I'm sure, what Peter Keane is looking for, is whenever a player comes on, he's taking a claim for a first team spot, and you know, if a player loses out or if he's substituted, he might find it difficult to get back in, and so there's intense competition for places, and we see that with Dublin over the years. The Dublin benches as strong. A lot of the players are as strong as the first team players, so you got to have that strength in depth to win All-Irelands.
And there's no need to take any chances with Sean O'Shea, so he's going to be withdrawn. Spillane comes in. Keelan Sexton, who's a really talented forward himself, has come on for Clare. There's Thomas Sullivan. Keelan Spillane, who made such an impact in the drawn game against Dublin in the All-Ireland a couple of years ago, coming in off the bench, gets his first touch. That's Stephen O'Brien, who was in Footballer of the Year form a couple of years back. Spillane once more. This directed ball doesn't have enough on it to find Clifford. Not on by Bohannon. There's Pierce Lillis. Very talented hurler as well, Pierce Lillis. One of that Ballier side that came so close to winning in All-Ireland a couple of years ago. And he's on the ball again here. Fires it into McGann. McGann gets away from Spillane. He just held his ground and got in a brilliant block. And Kerry can look to counter. Mike Breen helps it on to Gainey. Breen up Yugli. Clifford. Breen. It looked like he was being fouled by Killian Brennan. He was. Well, no Sean O'Shea, so this free will need to be taken by Paul Gainey. That's the reason for it. And Gainey, who has one score to his name already this evening. Two-time All-Star, doesn't quite grab the headlines that he once did, given the presence of the likes of O'Shea and Clifford in this forward line, but it's a decent strike, lacking a bit of precision. And another wide for Kerry. They are now into double figures on that count.
Yeah, it must have been just outside the post. Paul Gainey was arguing with the referee on that occasion. He swung it well, but just narrow miss.
A mark taken by David Tubridy. And it goes to Bohannon. Now Emmett McMahon. Sean Collins for Pierce Lillis. Cleary.
The big man is inside. Darren O'Neill is inside on the edge of the square. There was a 2-on-2 inside, but Clare slow build-up, allowing Kerry to drop players back. David Moran is now just drifting back in onto the goal line, whereas 30 seconds ago it was 2-on-2.
It's picked up by Russell and in towards Darren O'Neill. He's got Cleary for company. Needs a little bit of support, the tall midfielder. They'll recycle it and they'll have to start again. There's a bit more movement off the ball for the man of possession for Clare at the moment. They've worked the shooting opportunity and they've taken it thanks to Darragh Bohannon.
Yeah, well worked, good score, but if they do play the big man inside, they've got to let the ball in a bit quicker. But that was a really good, well-worked score, Darragh Bohannon, who's had a very, very good game. Good score off his left foot.
And that's his first score in senior championship football, and it takes us to the second water break of this month's senior football quarter-final. Kerry leading by 8. Let's get the thoughts of Jim and Kieran in our studio.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I think for me the big one is Kerry have kicked 2 points in the second half, and you know, they haven't really kicked on, and that'll be something that'll probably come into sharp focus after the game. And then also the kick out, we spoke about it before the game, you know, the two things that we would be looking out for, you know, the full back line and the kick out strategy. And Clare haven't asked enough questions to find out about the full back line, but the kick out strategy definitely is not at the level that you would expect to be won in All-Ireland.
Yeah, you can just see Peter Keane there almost telling Kieran Fitzgibbon just to calm down, settle down a small bit, because it's not like Clare are putting a massive press or anything on them. It's a fairly basic six-man press, zonal press, and you know, we're kicking it out over the sideline, we're kicking it inside the 21. It's a huge area of concern for Kerry going forward, I can imagine. And you know, Shane Ryan is on the bench. He's been out injured for a while. Kieran Fitzgibbon stepped in and did quite well, but I'd say that place is going to be up for grabs going forward.
Okay, thanks, guys. Well, they were so free scoring in the Alliance National League, Paul. Kerry's ability to pull teams apart hasn't been quite on show this evening. How much of that is down to Clare? How much of it is down to the fact that Kerry have been in complete control of this game almost from the get-go?
Well, I think a lot of it is down to Clare as well. They've worked very, very hard. They've made it difficult for Kerry. Their defensive structure has been very, very good. They haven't allowed them create any goal-scoring opportunities. They've tackled hard. And part of it as well, I think, you know, the game at half-time, probably Kerry were, 9 points ahead at half-time. A bit like the Mayo game earlier on, you know, the second half maybe, you know, not going to do as well in the second half, but they're probably a little bit disappointing that they haven't created as much in the second half.
Tom Morley's going to be in, or is in, for Kerry, and Sean O'Shea is back on the field, having got himself checked out after that knock. Here's Clifford. Oh, taken almost behind his back by Diarmuid O'Connor. After Paudie Clifford this time. And now it goes to Stephen O'Brien. Killian Spillane. We're going to see Tommy Walsh introduced as well shortly for Kerry. What experience he brings to this side. Good acceleration from Gavin White. Well, the goal was gaping. He had a chance to really put his head down, but opted to take the point and extend Kerry's lead.
Gavin White has been impressive today. His pace is outstanding, and you know, Clare have been very well connected in the middle of the centre of the defence. They've condensed that area well. They've got lots of bodies there, but he just put the afterburners on and was able to find that little bit of space. Brilliant score.
He's only ever had 1 point at championship football prior to that one, Gavin White. Here is Moran. Picked up by Sean O'Shea. Paudie Clifford for Breen. Clifford again. And he was being fouled by the retreating Joe McGann. Kerry work it short. Just over a quarter of an hour remaining. O'Shea again. Here's Spillane. Back for Gavin White. Moore and call for it inside. Clifford. And he spotted the man in space down that right-hand side. Coming onto it really well was Obiugli. Having just kicked one, Gavin White's got in on the attack again, and he's got a second.
I have to say, the pass from Paudie Clifford was just fantastic. He was off balance, leaning back, you know, facing the wrong way, and he put a beautiful left-footed pass on that kick on that pass. It was just a magnificent pass, and Gavin White again surging forward. You said he hadn't scored, had he, Dave, for Kerry up to?
He had one prior to tonight.
He had one prior to tonight.
He's
more
than double that now.
200% ahead tonight. Well done.
Tommy Walsh is on for Kerry.
Yeah, I thought he might have held Tommy Walsh in reserve. I think if the game was very tight, I think he would have brought Tommy Walsh on earlier and maybe played a longer game. While Clare are tall around the middle of the field in the half-forward line, full back line isn't that tall, and maybe there would be a mismatch there. I thought he might have held him in reserve maybe for future games, but he's given him an opportunity to come out and show his talents.
It's 11 years since he made his debut. You have the Twin Towers alongside Kieran Donaghy in 08. That was the free that was won by McGann, and it will be taken by Owen Cleary. Nicely done by Cleary. He's been Clare's scorer-in-chief today. That's his 5th point. Fitzgibbon finds his full-back Jason Foley. There's an element of risk attached to that kick-out. Here's Morley, his first touch since coming in. Foley for Moran. Kerry about to make another switch. He's now beginning to feel that Kerry bench this game is won. Clifford. An impressive showing it's been for him. The first time he started in the green and gold in a championship game. Killian Spillane, got pace to burn, trying to burn off Sean Collins. And he looks to have hooked that one to the left and wide. He has. It's certainly one aspect of their game that Peter Keane will look to improve, Paul. They've kicked a lot of ball away, Kerry, tonight.
Yeah, they certainly have. And on the other side, you mentioned about Owen Cleary, how accurate he was. In his last 4 games in the league, he scored 10 points, 7 points, 4 points and 8 points. And he has what today? 5 today?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a great return, you know, consistently scoring high numbers. That's fantastic.
Adrian Spillane is in now, so the 2 Spillane brothers from Temple Now are on the field, the sons of Tom. Of course, the nephews of Pat and Mick. And the forward for Clare's Kieran Russell. Inside it goes to Emmett McMahon. Daniel Walsh for Owain. He need to make his debut off the bench. Ian O'Dea, a hopeful ball in towards Darren O'Neill. This would be an interesting tussle, but Kerry had plenty of bodies in and around the midfielder, and there wasn't a lot he could do with it.
Yeah, again, just hanging in the air far too long allows defenders to drop back. Defender behind, defender in front, and it's very difficult for the big man to catch that. Kerry did well to defend that ball.
It's that diagonal ball that's fired in over the head of the defender, really, that can reap most dividends. Very awkward for the man underneath it to do anything when it's of that height and at that direction. Here is Spillane, picked up by his brother Adrian. Now Gainey. Stuart O'Connor on his shoulder, off he goes. Gets around Daniel Walsh, who was fouling him. The referee brings it back for the free.
He really does love to go forward, Jim O'Connor. He scored, I think, 3 points in the first league game, 2 points from play in the second. Has gone forward a number of times in this game, just hasn't made the breakthrough other than on that occasion. But you can see that he can certainly add something to the attack if he's playing alongside David Moran. David Moran can sit back and he can do the running forward.
He brings his own personal tally to 1-5. That's on a real issue now, the dipping sun for Stephen Ryan in the Clare goal. Threw out a rather hospital ball into the middle of the field towards Emmett McMahon. He was beaten to it. Here come Kerry now. Clifford. And it's just passed over the bar by Shawnee O'Shea, who now is 1-6.
Yeah, the ball was just hanging a little bit too high, but Kerry again closed the space down very quickly. There were 3 players converging on the Clare man. I think it was Darren Bohannon. And
contestable around the middle, and it's another breaking ball won by Kerry. Might be a card here for Pierce Lillis.
yeah, just a bit of kicking in danger there. Certainly a bit of dangerous play, so yellow card.
So into the book he goes. And Clare's venture into this year's football championship will be short-lived, joining Sligo and Waterford as the sides who have exited at the first hurdle today. Limerick beating Waterford in the other Munster Senior Football Championship quarter-final that took place today. They take on Cork in the last 4. It looks like Kerry are going to ease through to face Tipperary in their semi-final. There's Tommy Walsh, back for O'Shea. Clifford on the turn even before the ball arrived at him, swings it over, left-footed, and over the bar it goes.
Yeah, it's opening up now. Clare getting a little bit tired. The subs, Kerry subs making an impact. Lovely balance, beautiful strike.
Yeah, they've got 5 of the last 6 scores and they're really starting to pull away now. Here is Cleary. Support run made outside him by Sexton. And now Bohannon. And Tubridy. Oh, lovely goal from David Tubridy. Rarely turns down those sort of opportunities. The 34-year-old gets his 4th goal on his 39th championship appearance.
Fully deserved it as well. Lovely play, beautiful hand passing, support running off the shoulder by David Clifford. Good play by Dara Bohannon, who I think has been really good for Clare today, and a fantastic finish. Left foot, beautiful goal.
Well, if this is to be the last time we see David Tubridy line out in the colours of Clare, that'll be a memory we can take from it.
Well, I hope he stays on, because he's still got a huge amount to offer. He's played well, he's beautiful skills, works very hard, has a good relationship with Owen Cleary, who's obviously the captain, in terms of they play very well together. Good link-up play between the two of them. So hopefully he'll continue.
He made his championship debut in the old Tommy Murphy Cup 14 years ago. Incidentally, it was against Tipperary on the day that another Munster footballing attacking great retired. There is the Kerry centre half-back, Gavin Crowley.
Yeah, Gavin Crowley read that ball really well. Look, the result is in doubt, but you would have to say that the measure of a team at the end of a season, you know, at a good management and a team is, have they progressed, have they got better? And again, Clare, you'd have to say they've progressed again this year. You know, they've been really good in the league. You know, 1 game away, 4 points away from getting promoted to Division 1. Structurally, they're better. They're very competitive. They've put on big scores in the last couple of league games in particular. Yes, they've conceded quite a bit, but they've scored a lot more than they used to. So, you know, the management team has done a fantastic job. The team themselves have done a really good job. And, you know, even though they're going to get beaten here, it's been another really positive year for Clare.
There's the absence of a backdoor this year that is really affecting teams like Clare. And that's popped over by Killian Spillane, a side that would have the potential, Paul, to go really deep into the qualifiers if they were given the opportunity.
Yeah, and look, you know, we're in a difficult year, obviously, difficult couple of years, so we know the reasons why there isn't a qualifier, but Clare would benefit from it, obviously, you know, because they won't come up against a team of the quality of Kerry too often, and they'll be a very, very difficult team to beat if they went through a qualifier period. And hopefully, as I said, they'll keep all these players for next year.
Another really good score from Owen Cleary. He's had a very good game. That's his 6th.
And it's not just this game, as I said earlier, Dave, it's consistently he's been one of their top performers over the last number of years, and a great leader on the field. He's the captain and leads by example.
That's a good kick out from Fitzgibbon. Finds Paudie Clifford. Adrian Spillane, who didn't feature against Cork in that 1 game last year. Gainey. Has the ball stripped from him. It helps Kerry win it back again. Spillane for Clifford. Goal is on for him. Oh, rips it into the back of the net.
Yeah, again, as the game opens up, you can see the quality shining through there. He's just finding that little bit of space, acceleration off the mark. Giving Paul Gainey the opportunity to pop the pass, running straight at goal, and what a finish. Look at the confidence of the finish. He's just buried it. His 7th goal, 4 or 6 during the league campaign in 4 games, number 7 for the year.
His 5th in senior championship football, 1-6 the tally for the skipper. He might not be the captain next time out if Paul Murphy manages to get on the field. That is the fullback Killian Brennan down after that challenge from Sean O'Shea. He's the latest player to be shown a yellow card. There have been many in the game tonight.
Yeah, it hasn't been a dirty game by any means. There's been some hard hitting, but I think the referee has managed it really well. You know, there wasn't an awful lot in that, okay. Sean O'Shea went down a little bit low with the shoulder, but yeah, I think the referee's done a very, very good job. There's been no big incidents. No controversial incidents, so positive all around.
That's the 7th yellow card of the game. David Clifford just took a bit of a knock when he scored the goal. And I just wonder, are they considering taking him off? You certainly don't want to take any risks with that man, and that is in fact the case. He's being withdrawn, and Michael Burns from Dr. Croak's club here in Killarney comes in. It's just the way he came down from the air after that strike. There's the grimace. There is Lillis. Bohannon, who's impressed at times tonight. And Killian Rowan.
24 shot it. Fuck you too.
It's Daniel Walsh, who hope to play a big part next year after his debut tonight. In towards O'Neill, beaten away well by the Kerry defence. Tuverty trying to find Joe McGann, who can't make anything of it.
Yeah, that was brilliant by Jason. By Jason Foley? A brilliant punch from behind. We don't see that too often in the modern game. There's very few long balls that go in, but he was behind a man who was probably 4 or 5 inches taller than him, and he punched it out straight ahead, and Kerry picked up the crumbs.
Here's Michael Burns, with a very direct, almost hunched over running style. So here is Sean O'Shea. I thought Kerry have, certainly in the first half, plenty of standout performers. And who was it that has stood out for you? Who would be your AIB man of the match tonight?
Well, the man who's on the ball at the moment, Sean O'Shea. I think when the game was there to be won early on, he was outstanding. He got the first few points, then he got the goal. Kerry have had some other outstanding performers. Gavin White has had a really good game. David Clifford obviously got 1-6. Some other good performers, but I think, as I said, when it was in the melting pot and somebody stood up and showcased his skills and got the scores at a vital stage, I think Sean O'Shea is the man. But I think, you know, you'd have to highlight, as I said, Owen Cleary, Darren Bohannon, and others on the Clare team as well, who put in a really strong shift.
So Sean O'Shea is the AIB man of the match as we watch Killian Spillane swing over his second of the evening into the final minutes, and we'll have a couple more additional minutes at the end. Clare's final minutes of this year's championship. They solidified their place, as they have done up the last 5 years now, as a Division 2 side. And weren't a million miles away from making it up to Division 1. Not bad, given that when they were under Colm Collins 7 years ago, they were in Division 4. Had a couple of good runs through the qualifiers as well under Collins. Got to an All-Ireland quarter-final where they met Kerry for the second time in that year's championship. And I'm sure everyone associated with Clare football will be hoping that Colm Collins will come back for another go next year, given how short-lived their status as championship contenders was this time around. There's Burns. Trying to go around the outside of McGann. He has done, and he's lost it. But there was a foul in there, and he'll come back for that free.
I know Kieran was a bit disappointed at half-time, maybe with Kerry taking the foot off the pedal, and maybe at the water break as well. But they've finished really strongly. You know, they've got 22 scores in a championship game, likely to be 23 here. If Sean O'Shea puts this over the bar, that's impressive. You know, they've been over, I think, an average of 20 scores a game in the last 4 league games, so they've exceeded that. So I'm sure Peter Keane will have work-ons, but he'll be very happy overall.
There it goes from Sean O'Shea, 1-7 for him. Well, it's a sizable tally now that Kerry have racked up. It took a while to get going, but they've scored at will in this final 10 minutes. And if Tipperary are watching tonight, and I'm sure they are, they'll know exactly what's coming down the tracks to them in the semi-final.
And the other positive is that, you know, that so far we've got 2 minutes to go. They've only conceded 11 scores. And again, that's less than what they've done. They've conceded an average of 13 in the league. That's That's a mean defence. That's a mean defensive display. 11 scores in championship. So they'll be very, very happy with that as well.
Ball in towards Darren O'Neill again. He got a fist to it. Couple of minutes remaining for Clare maybe to try and grab a second goal. Kerry's long, unbeaten run at championship football at Fitzgerald Stadium looks set to continue. There's Bohannon. And he fists that one over the bar for his second.
Yeah, really good score again. Darren Bohannon making those incisions right throughout the middle, through the middle of the Kerry defence. Done that a couple of times in the second half. Set up the goal for David Tubridy. So these are two lads, Darren Bohannon and Darren O'Neill, who've really only come back this year and added hugely to the strength of the Clare team.
There's Tommy Walsh. There's Tony Clifford outside him. In it goes to Killian Spillane. Spillane curls his third over. He's slowly developing the reputation as an impact player, Killian Spillane. He brings so much in from the bench. I'm sure it's not a tag he'd appreciate.
Yeah, but and he's very intelligent on the ball as well. Like, he's touched the ball quite a bit since he's come in. He's had lots of possessions, and every possession he has, he uses it well. As you said earlier, they have a lot of strength and depth, and they're building that depth in the squad. Can play a number of different ways. Tommy Walsh can come in, they can play long if they need to. But notably tonight now, it was just interesting to look at their forward structure. As I said earlier, a couple of times, you know, a bit like Dublin, they always keep one or two players inside the 13-metre line, just to stretch the defence, to keep the defence honest, and to create space in pockets of space inside the 45-metre line for the players to run into.
Clare's long wait for a win over Kerry is going to continue. An incredible victory in the Munster final all the way back in 1992, the last time they got one over on Kerry. They've only ever beaten them on that occasion, a draw back in 1950. Here is Tommy Walsh. Clever ball in behind. And Kerry have a couple of men on here. Burns is one of them, and he crashes that one to the back of the net. Micheál Burns with his first championship goal.
Well, for probably the first time in the game, there was a lot of space in the Kerry defence, and two kick passes, one to Tommy Walsh, and then a second one from Tommy Walsh into Paul Ganey, who did a lovely backdoor kind of cut. He ran towards Tommy Walsh, then cut in behind, and Tommy found him with the pass, and that just opened up the defence completely, and an unselfish play.
And there is the full-time whistle. That Burns goal, the icing on the cake for Kerry. They have racked up a big tally in the end. 322 is a huge number on any day. Peter Keane will be pleased by many facets of his side's performance, but he'll know there's plenty of work to do, and sterner tests lie ahead for Clare. It's one and done. Disappointing for Colin Collins, but it was always going to be an incredibly daunting task here in Fitzgerald Stadium. They bow out. It's Kerry that march on to a semi-final meeting with Tipperary. It has finished full-time here in Killarney. Kerry 322, Clare 111.
Yes, indeed, an impressive victory for Kerry there as well. And just to remind you, of course, that next weekend we start our hurling championship, and what a day we have in store with you. A mouth-watering triple header. Galway meet Dublin, who overcame an Antrim today by 18 points earlier today. Kilkenny will take on Wexford, who had a comprehensive 531 to 123 win over Laois. To Kenny over Laois, I should say, and Limerick then, of course, will meet Cork at 7 p.m. and will be live on the air from 1 o'clock. But it is Kerry, as we said, who are through to the Munster semi-final on a final scoreline here of 3 goals and 22 points. Clare 1 goal and 11 points. Jim, Jim, you sounded a little bit worried there when you were speaking at the water break that Kerry had only scored 2 points. In impressive flourish at the end there, you saw David Clifford, of course, in the flesh as well. So what did you make of him and that second half performance?
Well, unfortunately, we've seen him walking off as well, and that's probably the big talking point coming out of the game. I think the fourth quarter, if you like, Kerry owned it. Not surprisingly. Clare had put a lot into the first 3 quarters of the game and never really got going in the last quarter. And we know what Kerry can do from 8 up, and they did it in the last quarter. They were very, very clinical. There was space. The Clare lads were very tired, and they took full advantage of that. So I don't think we've learned anything that we didn't know already before the game today. The question marks, that are around the team will still be there until they come up against bigger opposition that's going to ask bigger questions. I think on the kick out, probably that is one area that will be a cause of concern because it didn't really function that smoothly tonight, and that'll be something other teams, I would imagine, will be looking at. But other than that, they're full of talent, they're full of quality, they're an amazing force going forward, and we'll just have to wait and see how things progress over the number of weeks now.
That was something you were concerned about as well, Kieran, was that kick-out strategy, concerns maybe about the goalkeeper. The way they finished the game, did it answer any of those questions for you, or do you still have that concern going forward?
Look, I think that's something that they'll be working on continuously. Look, Kerry weren't great today and scored 322, against a good Clare team who went up a few weeks ago to Newbridge and beat Kildare, so probably shows you where Kerry are at. They hummed along there in 3rd or 4th gear, and they got a bit of a lift. Micheál Burns came on and got a good goal. Killian Spillane came on and got 3 points. Tommy Walsh came on and won every ball that was kicked into him. So, they got a bit of a lift from the bench, and I think that bit of energy of those fellas trying to prove a point was almost the reason that the Kerry pulled away. And hopefully David Clifford isn't too bad. I don't think he is. I see him walking into the circle there. He doesn't look too disheartened or anything, so I don't think it's a bad injury. Seanie O'Shea took a big fall in his back. Paddy a little banging on the calf, but nothing too seriously. You see Peter there is probably checking out his main man to make sure he's okay, but Jim thinks because he kicked the ball so hard at the goal that might have happened, but there was definitely something happened to him with his reaction to the bench. Was pretty emphatic.
And sometimes that could be just cramp. It could be just that, and
a spasm.
And the pressure will be off.
Well, they'll be hoping now that there's nothing wrong with David Clifford. That's something that Peter Keane does not want to see, and a person who we don't want to see injured, and particularly from a Kerry perspective. So just let's look at some of the main points, lads, from the games. And when we spoke at half-time, just Clare, I suppose they were creating chances, just frustration, I suppose, from Colm Conn's, the mistakes that were making. But the momentum then from Kerry. Talk us through this, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, the shift in momentum really came because Clare were getting good positions to score, and they couldn't take advantage of that, and that's just not going to work against Kerry. You've got to put them all away, and when those opportunities present themselves, and we can see here from the clips, they're in good positions. This is pretty much a gimme at this level, and it goes wide as well, and that just can't happen. And Kerry then just turned the screw, and all of a sudden the game starts to go on its head.
Yeah, I think that David Moran point just came off the back of those 3 wides, Grania, and that was, that's a killer for Clare when they're trying to get back into the game at the start of the second half, to have those few misses and then David Moran pop up and kick a great score. Just reaffirmed Kerry's dominance.
Just let's look then, I should say, on what Kerry did well, Kieran.
Look, they did an awful lot well in my eyes, Grania. As I said, no, they didn't set the world alight, but just quick movement of ball. Gavin White could have had a goal here. I think he kind of steaming through. Maybe in another day he puts the head down and goes for goal with that. And this was David Clifford's point as well, coming in from good work again, and a lovely little bounce pass to Seanie O'Shea. And I think that bounce pass is a skill that David is using, and it's something that will come into the game a bit more. It's it's definitely a new weapon to add to his arsenal, and then kicks a fine score. But that little bounce pass, because the defender is coming over, he thinks he's blocked. David puts it on the ground, Seanie gets it, and I think this is the goal again from Dave. Like it's a rocket, and you see there his first few steps afterwards aren't too bad after he lands on this. So maybe it was a little spasm that kind of creeped up, but this is the last goal from Burns. He runs hard, he's a great runner, very smart player from the Crokes, and in fairness to Paul, he worked tirelessly all day, but that's a great decision to make late on and slip it in. And Micheál will be happy with that, his first goal in championship football, and a guy who's worked really hard and who's struggling to get into a really quality forward lineup, but who is a great option to bring energy around the place.
The only thing is, and it nearly feels like nitpicking when we talk about this after scoreline of 3-22, but how concerned would they be about the wides, Jim?
Not overly with that scoreline on, but you know what we're trying to do here is we're trying to look at Kerry through the prism of Dublin, because Dublin are the benchmark, and that's what we're trying to do here. And one thing for me that stood out from tonight is Kerry's conditioning. They're in phenomenal shape. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The young lads have grown into men. There's no doubt about that either. And their strength and their power and their running power, and obviously, you know, everything, as I said earlier, from 8 up is top quality. So they're ticking a hell of a lot of boxes that puts them in the position, and rightly so, to say they're contenders for this year's All-Ireland. And that's why we're zeroing in these one or two other things, because they're the tiny things that possibly could get jammed coming down the stretch against a top team, and that's basically it, you know. So from a Kerry point of view, they'll go home, they'll try and zero in on what they feel the marginal gains will be found, but it's very fine margins, Grania, absolutely very fine margins, and that's what it is for 2 or 3, maybe 4 teams in the country.
Yeah, and we know that's what it takes to win an All-Ireland as well. But speaking of players that stood out today, Sean O'Shea from Kerry is the AIB man of the match. He's been speaking with our reporter Shane Dawson.
Sean, congratulations, you are this evening's AIB man of the match, and unfortunately you have to present yourself with the award due to COVID.
Cheers.
Sean, a comfortable victory played out in the sun of Killarney. The perfect start to the championship?
Yeah, well, I don't know about comfortable. Clare really put up there for long spells, but we knew that coming on. We saw how they had got on all year in the league, and they were really firing, so we knew it was going to be a tough battle. But delighted to be back and delighted to be playing here in Killarney on a sunny evening. There's nothing better as a Kerry player.
Absolutely. What's the most pleasing aspect from that 70 minutes of football?
Yeah, I suppose it's hard to know at the moment without watching it back, but I suppose just the camaraderie and just the way we were moving the ball around to each other and spreading it around, and I think that's something that we've been trying to do this year, so that's probably one of the pleasing aspects of it.
You had a right spring in your step as well. I think even yourself personally, first 4 points of the match as well, finishing up at 1-7. How important is it to, I suppose, start as you mean to go on?
Yeah, I suppose you always want to start the game well individually, but as a team as well, more importantly. So I think we got out of the blocks pretty quickly today, but Clare, in fairness, and they came right back at us, and they always stuck there in with us.
So much talk around, obviously, the Clifford brothers, Paddy's first championship start as well, but how much are you enjoying that dynamic, you know, linking up in that Kerry forward line as well, and how potent is that threat?
Yeah, look, it's obviously very enjoyable playing with all the lads, all the boys that are starting, but also the lads that are coming in. I see we see the impact that the boys come in today. So Killian Spillane came in, Micheál Burns all getting on the score sheet, Tommy Walsh as well. So, you know, it's in training, obviously we're trying to fight for these positions to get on match day, but also the impact coming from our bench has been huge.
Obviously we are in another knockout championship situation, and you're coming off the back of a very positive league campaign, but this was a match that you were heavy favourites going into, very similar to Cork last year. Is that performance and this winning margin and that statement, does that put to bed the whole Cork defeat now? You can really concentrate on another championship?
Look, I suppose a knockout, all you want to do is get into the next round, no matter what way you get there. So I think we're just happy to get the win, and we weren't really focusing on last year. You know, we moved on from that, and we're looking forward to going to Thurles in 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Tipping the semi-final. Will a performance of that level be enough?
Look, obviously there's stuff to improve on. You know, first came out in the championship this year. We'll review it, and we'll look at what areas we can improve on heading to Thurles.
Gentlemen, Sean, really appreciate you.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for it. Thank you.